Silver boom cycle in September. This could have impacts on gold too, my friends. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I want to make that perfectly clear once again in my video. Nobody knows. But we got some information that might just be the case of what's going to happen in September. Also, what came walking into the shop today? I'm going to let you guys know that as well in the video. What walked in? We will let you know. Help me out with the thumbs up. If you support this channel, I need those thumbs up. If you want that giveaway to happen faster, those thumbs up really does help out the channel, my friends. YouTube gets the notifications out to more and more people. It shows up on more and more people's screens. Every time somebody gives those thumbs up, these videos do get the message out. I need your help if you want the giveaway to happen faster. Let's get into the video right now. September. The boom cycle. I'm going to call it. Look. I'll say it again. Nobody knows. There's a very, very good chance we're going to see a rate cut in September. That will be decided on September 17th. It is on a Wednesday. Even if we get a 0.25% rate cut, we could even see a 0.5%. But let's say we see a 0.25% rate cut. That's going to be dynamite for silver and gold. This is what I'm thinking is going to happen. Keep in mind, every time we see a rate decision, silver will fall and gold will fall before it. So a few days before the meeting, expect to see a little bit of a drop. No matter where we're at, expect to see a little bit of a drop with silver and gold. There could be a buying opportunity right then and there. After the Fed's decision, expect that rest of the week to play really, really low. The following Sunday night into Monday, going into after the Fed's meeting, if we see a rate cut, expect it to explode. We got about a month, my friends. The picture looks like brighter and brighter. We're going to see a rate cut. Look, I understand what President Trump wants, getting rates down to 1%. I don't agree with that. I'm just going to be honest with you. We cannot cut rates so fast. It's going to drive inflation through the roof. And that's going to be more job loss. Look, next month, it's really start in September. It is the actual start of hiring season for the Christmas season. Christmas trees start coming out. Christmas decorations will start coming out by the middle of September. By the time Jerome Powell comes out and yaps, Christmas stuff should be out at all Walmart stores, Targets, are just getting the ball rolling right then and there. Retail don't know what to do this year. Do we hire? Do we not hire? Do we just go what we have? They're going to need some additional workers. We got job loss at record numbers. Getting close to record numbers, I should say that. Look, we're in a crucial time right now. We still got the Ukraine and Russia thing going on. We got Taiwan and China. You know, things seem to calm down, but that's still something we got to keep an eye on. We got the Middle East problems we still dealing with. And what happens if everything just really heats up in a couple weeks, leading into September, we get that rate drop, we get that rate cut. It could be off the charts. This is if you're holding back. All right, this is not financial advice. This is not telling you to go buy silver and gold. This is not, like I said, this is not advice. Cost average right now. You don't sit on the sidelines and wait for a major dip. Because those same people who waited at 22, at 25, waiting to back up that truck at 17. I've talked about this before. Where are those people now? Where are those people now saying back up the truck at 17? You know, think about that. Those people are gone. They don't come on the channel no more. Because we've proven them wrong. I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball. But things are heating up. Things are heating up. We've seen more and more people coming on board with silver and gold. More so with silver because it's still relatively cheap compared to gold. I've talked about in different videos about spending habits. Not going to get into that today. Buy your metals with your spending habits. That's all I can say. Again, if you're looking to buy something bigger, maybe put that money into gold. If you are like me, cheap. I'm not calling you cheap. I'm calling myself cheap. But if you budget your money and you don't spend a lot, then silver is probably your best metal to go with. Yes, it weighs more. We've been through this already. We got to think outside the box right now. No, some people thought we're going to see lower silver. Look, we're touching almost $38 again in the futures. Gold's up over $3,400 again. It's not going to take much more for gold to go back up to the all-time highs of 35 and change. 3,500 and change. We're just right there, my friends. It's not going to take a lot. That could be done in a day. That really could be done in a day. We don't know what's going to happen after the market closes when the Asian market opens up at 6 p.m. again. Nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen from day to day. I'm telling you this. I'm still stacking. I'll tell you what I'm stacking still. Morgan and Peace dollars when I can find them at a decent price. I'm not overpaying. I'm using my head. I'm not overpaying for these things. Check out channel sponsor Pinbacks this week. If you're especially a gold bug or you need to get some fractional gold. Fractional gold over Pinbacks. Thank you, Pinbacks, for bringing this to us. Gold Britannia's fractional, 1/4 of an ounce, 1/10 of an ounce, 1/2 ounce. They have them prices to move. Take a look at if you're interested in that. Check around, my friends. I don't think you're going to find a better price than that at channel sponsor Pinbacks. I don't list the gold prices. It's too hard on a video because everything's going up and down as I'm recording the video. It gets people. I even do it with the silver, and people say, "Oh, but you're not telling me the truth. I'm seeing a different price." Yes, of course, you're seeing a different price because the gold changes all the time. If you're watching this video 3 days from now, of course, you're going to see a totally different price, depending where the gold market is. So right now, they do have a competitive price. Their price to move. That was Michael at Pinbacks' message the other day. They're priced to move. Check them out. Let them know that crazy Coin Shop Chris sent you. Thank you, Pinbacks, for sponsoring my channel, Coin Shop Chris. Thank you to the viewer out there because it's not possible without you. Don't forget that thumbs up, my friends. We're 9 minutes in. So, capping off with September. Nobody knows. I'll say it again. But things are heating up. When I'm seeing new people, we're seeing a lot more new people coming in, asking questions. Some are buying. Some say, why do I need silver for? We're answering all these questions. There's a lot of education that needs to be done still. And I'll tell you, sometimes not easy repeating yourself over and over and over again. It seems like I've heard it, you've heard it, but we're always getting new people in the shop. We're getting new people on the channel, which is great. So bear with us as we do repeat some of this information, because sometimes we need to hear it again to see what's going on. I'm your boots on the ground. I'm seeing this stuff firsthand, my friends. You know, just because I'm reporting something, that does not mean you're going to see that's the same thing at your shop. Okay, that does not mean that. It's based, sometimes it's just based on a local location of what's going on. And shops could be 20 miles apart and see a little bit of different pull from one side to the other. That shop could be selling more that day. That shop could be buying more that day. We have our days too where we buy more, sell more. Sometimes it's an even mix. Every day it's different. Which leads me to my next story. Today, customer comes in. He had $800 face of 80% silver Canadian dimes. All right, we're in the South. We're in Florida. I don't have too much people down here right now wants Canadian silver dimes. My Canadian customers are normally up north this time of year. So I said to him, I said, hang on. I said, you said, so you in a rush? But I asked him. He says, no, I'm not in a rush. I got a couple hours I can hang out. If you, no, I don't need you that long. I said, if you want to sit down, go watch TV. I said, let me make some phone calls. I said, I want to give you a fair price, but I said, if I can't close a deal where I can flip these that quick, I said, I'm going to pay you less. That's how. I said, that's how it's going to be. And he said, no, I'd rather get a little bit more if you can. And but he understood. So I called a couple people that I knew that were in Canada that does come down and buys a lot of these dimes. But for us to get that and hold that until they come down in October, it's just not worth the chance. We just don't know what silver price is going to be. So I called a couple people in Canada, and I said, you know, they knew who I was. And I said, are you, any of you folks interested in this? You know, I called them one by one. I called like 3 different people. And every single one said, yes, we were interested in about $200 face right now. I said, and they said, well, we can't come, when we're not going to be back until October. I said, if that's okay. I said, I'm okay of hanging on to it until October, but I just need payment up front. So I had 2 out of 3 said, okay, we would send you a Bank of America check, and we get that in the mail today. I said, wait a minute, let me see if this guy's willing to accept the offer now. And so I got that lined up. I called someone else here. He was not interested in any more Canadian dimes at all. So I got $400 face out of the $800. So I said I went back to the guy, and I said, look, I can offer you 21.5 times face for $400. I said, if you want the other ones sold today, I said, I'm going to pay you 20 times face. I said, I don't know where the market's going to go. I said, there's something you don't need to sell right now. I says, it'd be better off where you wait for the Canadians to come back, and we'll be able to do a better deal. Because I said, I don't have everybody's number. I got a couple people's numbers. Are you okay with that? He says, well, yeah, I don't need to sell, but he says, I just want to convert this back into 90. He says, I now I live in the United States permanently now. I just want to convert it back into 90% silver coinage. Okay, fine. I said, we can do that later too, right? I said, depending on the price. I says, let me see what I can work out here. So I called the other 2 customers back, and I says, yep, okay, we got a deal done on that side of it. Paid him 20 times face. 20 times face on that. 21.5 times face, excuse me. The customer, we sold them to the other customers for 22 times face. See, there's not a lot of money here, my friends. So I got 2 checks coming down. We're going to hold them for the customers in 200 face bags. They're nice looking dimes. They're not beat up. They're not chewed up. They're nice looking dimes. I'd snap some pictures, text them to them. They were fine with them. Yep, fine. Both checks will be in the mail today. Fine. Got the deal done. So later on, so I took the other guy's phone number who had the other dimes. And another guy came in and asked us, do we have any Canadian silver dimes? I said, you gotta be kidding me, all on the same day? I said, how much are you looking for? He said, I'm looking for $100 face. I said, you just hold your thought right there. I said, let me ask you this. I said, are you all right? I said, if I can get this deal done for you, and I kind of explained to him what happened. I says, are you okay at 22 times face as a buy price? He says, yeah, I'm fine with that price. That's a good price. Called the other guy up. I says, are you, but you live close. He says, yeah, I live about 5 or 6 miles away. He said, I don't live too far. I says, you want to come back and I can get, I said, I got another $100 face sold. He says, yeah, I'll be down. So we got that deal done. So now we only got to work on $100 face for him. He's just turning that money into, we just got 90% off the door. We made a little bit of money off the 80% silver off the door. It's funny how things work out all in the same day. This is what I mean. You never know what's going to happen in the same day. It's weird. It's so weird just because you don't hear 80% Canada or anything this far south that often until the snowbirds from Canada. It's not an insult because I used to live in Maine, so you can call me a snowbird too, but I don't go up north for the summertime. They come down and we'd turn a little bit more over. All 3 parties were happy. You just have to spin the wheel, spin the wheel, spin the wheel. And that is how we try to do business all the time. In and out, fast, 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 fast. Sometimes that don't always happen. But it's heck of a lot better than melting the stuff down, which some coin shops love to melt the stuff down. We gotta stop the melt. That includes Canadian 80% silver as well. Any silver, if you're able to sell it to the public. Please, my coin shop friends. You own a coin shop. You own a business. You own a pawn shop. You sell silver. You sell gold. Do yourself a favor. Sell it to the customers at the same price you would sell it to the smelters for. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you create more business for your customers? Say, you know what, this coin shop gave me a good deal on this. This coin shop gave me a good deal on that. That pawn shop did the right thing for me. And so on. Why wouldn't people who own a Bitcoin shop or a pawn shop get a gosh darn list put together, seeing what the customers want? If something comes through the gosh darn door, they can have a list and make phone calls. No, it's too much work for them, I guess. They rather box it up in a gosh darn cardboard box and ship it off to the smelters. I call that shameful. Shameful, shameful, shameful. Just to make a fast buck the same day. Sometimes you don't make a fast buck the same day. Sometimes it takes a day or two. Somebody asked me in the comment section on this morning's video, did we ever sell all those beat up silver Eagles? Well, the answer right now is no. We still have 5 left, and these are really, really bad. So we might just say, take 50 cents off from the smelters and see if anybody will gobble them up that way. We rather, and we're really not going to take a loss on the silver. Silver's up in price, so we can afford to do that. But we would take 50 cents. So what? It's $2.50. Is it really going to make a big difference? No. So we're probably going to mark them down tomorrow just to see if anybody is, interested in them 50 cents this below melt, and move them that way instead of going right at spot. So we're going to do 50 cents and see if anybody wants them at that price, at this below the spot price. You know, sometimes you're going to make decisions in business. But what things that gets my rear end is some of these shops just don't care. They just don't care. All they're after is that fast buck, that same day fast buck. Flip it, flip it, flip it. It just takes a few minutes. All that dime stuff that I just talked about. It took about 15 minutes worth of work. That's all. A few phone calls. You know, that's all it takes. You make a few phone calls. You try to get the deals done. You try to help everybody on the same. Shop makes a little bit of money. Both customers are happy. What a better way to run a business where everybody's happy? We're offering to store them for the customers from up north. They'll be back in October. 2 different customers saying they'll be back in mid-October. Fine. They don't take up that much space. Fine. We put them in a bag. We put the name on it. We put the phone number on it. Once we get the check, we will cash the checks. Once they come in, they're tickled pink we're holding on to them. They said we will pay. No, we don't need no extra money to hold them. We don't like to do it, but we understand the situation. Yes, we are responsible for those dimes. So we are taking a chance there as well. But we already got payment. We know they're coming down to pick up their dimes. We know the customers as well. They're good customers. So when they say they're going to send a check, we trust them and they will send a check. So with the postal service throughout to 2 damn countries, it might be a little bit, it might have to wait a week or so, which is fine. We don't know what's going to happen next. It's called taking care of business, helping people out, educating people when they walk through the door. So, and I understand some shops don't have the time to educate. We don't always have the time either. We have sometimes to make special appointments for people who need that little bit of extra time. And that's all right. We don't mind giving people a little bit of extra time to explain silver and gold to them. It's not easy. I can tell you one thing, everybody's different. We're all on about the same scope of stacking, of why we're stacking. But everybody seems to see it a little bit different ways. For the most part. It may be all jive into the same ideas, but people have different family members. People have different ways of living. Some people have a very expensive way of living. Trying to keep up with the neighbors, trying to keep up with the Joneses, trying to keep up with the movie stars. Who gives a crap? Really, when it comes down to it, and when it hits the fan, my friends, all you need in your possession is shelter, water, yes, and clothing. Someone did say you need clothing too, yes. Water, shelter, clothing, food, silver, gold, or just silver. It just depends on your lifestyle. If you want to be keeping up with the Joneses, you want to be keeping up with the neighbors, then you better get yourself some gold too then. So thank you, channel sponsor Pinbacks, once again for sponsoring my channel, Coin Shop Chris. Thank you to the viewer out there, because it's not possible without you. Don't forget about the Pinbacks giveaway. Don't forget about the thumbs ups. Those really do help. Thank you for watching. If you need to get into contact with me, my email is always in every single description of every single video. Reach out to me. I'm here to help you all. Coin Shop Chris is out. Have a good rest of your day.